Hello and welcome to Nugget of Inspiration number 7 for a healthier, happier 2022. And today I'm going to be answering a question, which is a great question from Holly. Does the timing of my eating matter? Now, huge topic, could talk about this for hours. Lots of comments, debates about timing of eating, fasting, many thoughts on this, but this is a nugget, so we're going to summarize it. In a nutshell, yes, it does matter what time you eat and how frequently you eat and the gap between eating and not eating, okay? So basically, our body does very important things during the day when we're eating and it's processing food, and when you're fasted, when you're without food. Now, fasting doesn't mean dieting. It doesn't mean deliberately avoiding food necessarily. That's what happens overnight. You go without food and your body goes into a fasted state. And during that time, the gut, the brain, the liver do some super important cleaning up, some organizational things to keep your body in tip-top shape. So both phases are very important. They're also part of what regulate your circadian rhythm, that lovely rhythm that we have. So that's partly regulated by natural light. Partly the communication between body and brain is sometimes we're eating, sometimes we're not. So super important. The challenge in the modern world that we live in is often people are eating very late at night, grazing, nibbling and eating too close to the time when they go to bed. Also, there's kind of been the message that you need to shove food in your mouth the first minute that you wake up in the morning, get that breakfast in. You need to eat first thing to boost your metabolism. Not true. You do not need to do that, okay? So the main messages here, summary that it kind of applies to most people, is that in the morning, you do not need to eat the second you wake up, okay? It is a good time to eat when you naturally feel hungry in the morning, and that can be different for different types of people, okay? So I used to eat much earlier, but one of the things that's changed for me in the last couple of years, I don't actually eat until about 9:30 in the morning anymore. And I get up anywhere between 5:30 and 6 o'clock. That's different if I exercise. If I exercise in the morning, I do eat earlier. But if I don't, about 9:30 is the time that works for me, okay? We are different, but no longer do you need to shove food in your mouth to boost your metabolism first thing in the morning. All you need to make sure is that first meal is super nutritious, super full of healthy foods. And if you're not having it at home, that you take good, nourishing food out to your workplace or wherever you're going so that you don't fall into the coffee and scone, lamington trap because you basically don't have healthier food options around, okay? So that's the breakfast thing. At night, I don't want to say be super specific, but around 2 to 3 hours-ish, I'm being ish, we're all different, before you go to bed is a good time to kind of cut the eating off, okay? And that's because you do not want to go to bed with lots of food still in your stomach. Your digestive system is much better off when it hasn't got to do all that work when you're trying to go into the sleep mode, okay? So this late night nibbling, which is often a habit, very frequently nothing to do with being hungry, and I'll be talking about that in a future video about cravings and addictions and night eating. So any questions you've got on that, let me know. But often it's just a habit, so it's much better for us to basically have that period of time at night without eating. So that works for most people. Little side point, if you have diabetes or you're on any medication that affects your blood sugar level management, please take the advice of your doctor or the individual dietitian you're working with. The advice on here, as with all my videos, is generalized. So if you're on any medication that affects your blood sugar levels, please get personalized advice on that, okay? So that's the kind of general theme, rules around, I hate rules, not rules, but the kind of the timing structure around the daytime. In terms of how often you should eat it during a day, different things work for different people. It is a balance of getting the nutrients, the nutrition that you need in a 24-hour period and the time that works for you. Some people it's 3 times a day. Some people can eat 4 or 5 times a day, okay? So that is a kind of an individual thing. As I've said in these videos so many times, so much of this is individualized. When it comes to the diets, the more restrictive versions of fasting, so the 5-2 alternate day fasting and stuff like that, You know what? I've seen that they work for some people, but you have to weigh that up with how healthy that is for your mind, going through days of eating and not eating, restricting and not. If you've got an eating disorder, have had a history of eating disorder, if you emotionally or you've got a poor relationship with food, I highly suggest avoiding those restrictive day on day off type versions of fasting, because it just screws with your mind. Okay, you're much better just to think about hey, maybe I just need to do something else rather than eating during the evening, and you know, what time's my breakfast gonna be. So just simplify it, be mindful of those. I'll share a link to an article that we did on Healthy Food Guide about fasting, so you can read more about that. Again, it's an area to get personalized advice. But overall, yes, the timing of eating matters. What works for you won't necessarily work for somebody else. We're all different in this space. It is important that we have periods of time without eating to allow our body and our brain to do what they need to do, but don't get sucked into the diety, negative mindset versions of those. So hopefully that's helpful. Let me know any comments, any questions. If you have ideas for the videos for the rest of January, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow.